Liverpool versus everybody, right? So this is the review show. We all know what happened at the weekend. A draw, another situation where we allowed a game to slip. We started the season off that way against Watford, who are a good side, but um, it was kind of a telling of how the season was going to go at certain moments. Having leads and then either losing them to draw or losing them to tie. Um, Luckily, most of them have been losing them to a draw. So I guess that's the positive you can take from that. But, there's so many talking points of the game at the weekend. And mostly for me, the benches. You could have done a 7-7 aside with those benches. I think both teams had pretty strong benches. And I think if Cant, the manager of Chelsea, knew how we were going to set up, he probably would have played a different side. But he played the side that he played. And, at the end of the day, for all of the talk that people have about Liverpool in comment sections or on social media or whatever, Chelsea still couldn't beat us. They still couldn't beat us, and it took a fluke goal at the end to even get something from it. So, I think they had chances, but so did we. And if for me, the winner for them is Azpilicueta. I mean, I had a chance to look at the game from start to finish last night after watching all the other games, and just countless times where he stuck in a foot, a knee, or whatever to make a last-ditch block to maybe keep them more in the game. So so many times that guy was able to nullify what we were doing, and it was frustrating because it was just that one moment that we needed. And luckily, he was even there on the only one he didn't stop was the one to Salah, which he was nearly close to stopping that one. And it almost seemed like Salah kind of froze in slow motion in time, and was just really composed in finishing that goal, which was also nice because, yes, he misses his chances. It seems like that doesn't happen that much now. But he misses his chances, but he gets kind of bashed about that and maybe not being as clinical. But I thought that was as clinical as it comes. There's a lot of kind of confusion in that in that play. I think it was Coutinho to passed it over and went off of Bakayoko, and presence of mind of Ox was able to just kind of nick it onto the path of Salah. So there's a lot of commotion there, and for him to gather himself, take that shot, and put us up in the game, I thought was really, really good. For me, the three best players on our team, just in my opinion, was of course Salah. I also wrote down I thought Ox was good, and then Moreno. Some people put Klavan in there, and actually, after watching the game again, I thought Klavan did pretty good. There's some moments between both of our center backs where I thought it was just one, but there's at least two, maybe three moments where we couldn't clear the ball. We ended up clearing it off of our own players, which could have been a bigger issue than it was, but it wasn't. And so I think Klavan was decent. I think he was decent. I'm proud of Moreno, though, again, from the bounce back, and people still won't be able to look and see what he did in that game in any positive way. And sure, he's out of position a lot, but that's Moreno. You know what I mean? Klopp keeps going with him. I try to look for the positive things. And a lot of times he will be out of position, and he kind of just runs around with his, like his head's cut off, just aimlessly going everywhere. But I think it worked to his benefit a lot in this game. There were a lot. If you really watch the game over, there was a lot of times. I think I marked down 4 or 5 times. It could have been even more than that. I have 4 here, but I feel like on the other page I wrote at least one more. But he had like 4 or 5 times where he, came about and maybe out of his position, but he came out and stopped a break that they might have had, especially with Hazard. And speaking of Hazard, that was my issue. Their 3 best players I thought were Hazard, Drinkwater out of nowhere. I didn't know he was even going to play. I thought he had a really, really good game. Good start for him. First start, I think, for Chelsea. I don't think he started in the Champions League game. And then Azpilicueta. But, Drinkwater, Hazard, Azpilicueta. But, we needed somebody to man mark Hazard, and it was a joke that it seemed like for large parts of that game that person was Henderson. In hindsight, it's always easy to say we should have started a more attacking team. We didn't, and we still went up 1-0. It's hard to say who was the better team in that game. I think both teams were kind of hitting a brick wall, literally for us. Chelsea, the way they set up, everybody was behind the ball for the most part. But yeah, we needed somebody to man mark Hazard. Now, I think in hindsight, it could have been Genie. He didn't start, but you can see when he came on, he definitely inserted a little bit of spark that we were missing and we needed. The story is that we were trying to bring guys on, and the ref didn't do it because he thought we were trying to time waste or whatever. That's frustrating, but even for me, and I love Klopp, but again, I just think the subs were a bit too late. I think the moment we score that goal, you bring the subs on, not waiting to the time that he did. But he's the manager. I don't know. Maybe he saw it from a different vantage point or something. I don't know. But I think the subs were a bit too late. But yeah, I mean, again, Salah's strength, man, is just so underrated. Cahill's a pretty strong guy. At least he looks to be, and Salah more or less had his way. I mean, not to the extent of getting goals, of course, more than the one that he had, but there were so many times where he was able to just gather the ball. And there were this is why I respect players like Salah. There was at least one or two times where he's getting tugged in the box, and because he wants to fight and get that goal, he doesn't go down. A lot of players in that position would go right down. Philip Coutinho did that, and somebody mentioned that we had a penalty shot. There was no penalty shot. If anything, it was a couple of handball shots, which should have been probably penalties. And I think both of those were Cahill. Elbow, arm, whatever. If that's impeding the speed of the ball and the trajectory of the ball, it's a handball to me. I don't know why those aren't being called, but they weren't, and so. But I don't think there was any penalty. That's Coutinho back to his world-class diving again. So shout out to Salah, and the Steelers doubters. People don't really, the bookkeepers don't think he can keep it up. I do. I think he can. I've watched back the reaction to him in the goal Willian scored, and also the reaction in Sevilla when they got their equalizer. And I think everybody can relate. It's tough, and I hope we can keep our better players. Mane, Salah, even Firmino. You got to believe that. This summer or the following summers, teams are they're seeing what we have, and they're gonna try to nick those players off of us. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the whole rhetoric that I don't really subscribe to, but to an extent, I mean, I have to kind of look at it as a positive. And what came out of that game was that, it's a tough match. It's Chelsea. We're at home though, and again, we're undefeated. We didn't keep the clean sheet. We should have. We didn't. But it's a tough squad, and we got a draw. It wasn't a loss. It's unfortunate that we couldn't be top four right now, especially with Spurs losing or drawing. But I think we're in a decent place. We could be in a better place, but we also could be in a worse place. You'd be led to believe that we were fighting relegation or mid-table, the way some of our supporters get on Twitter and different comment sections and Klopp out and all that type of stuff. But I'm optimistic as always, and I think we still got I know we still got a lot of football to play. So nothing's set in stone. It's all still in our hands, and look, the way we started and some of the injuries we had, and the fact that our defense still is leaky, to say the least, as well as our midfield. I think that the defense gets a lot of blame, which a lot of that's fair play, but the midfield at times continues to let the team down. So. With that being said, I don't know if we were ever really, really in a title fight. Anything can happen, and we've seen teams do it. I know we can, but that was going to always be tough. I think top four is where we need to fight and try to get into, and I think we will. As far as the keeper, it's clear we need another keeper, and I didn't think I'd say this, but I almost feel like maybe we should give Karius a full run this season. If he does well, great. If not, we know or Klopp knows, or should know even at this point, that needs to be something that's addressed sooner than later. I don't know what's more important at this point, really, keeper or the defense. And it's really tough to even, I thought Mignolet was really good at some point, well, good enough at some parts of those games, stopping some of those tricky shots. Hazard had one, I think Sampa Costa. I don't know, somebody else had a pretty decent one. I mean, honestly, they didn't really have that many. And it's funny that people would say that they did and that maybe controlled that game. A lot of Chelsea fans think that they did. I don't really see. I think we had more of the chances, more of the clear-cut chances. Um, when Yalden's header to name one, another Salah shot to name another. That's just what I can remember at this point. But you know, his placement on that, he looks flat-footed. It almost looks like he's expecting a straight, shot from Willian on that. And yeah, could Moreno have pushed up on it? Definitely. Could Klavan have pushed up? Yes. I don't know why we're not shutting that down. Shouldn't be allowing anything like that at that game. Everything should be pushed back out. So again, that's going back to some of our defending a little bit. I think Henderson gave the ball away and kind of that recycled possession or whatever, and that kind of led to it. But it looks like Manuel's expecting a shot there, and not what ended up being like a just kind of toss-up of a ball that just glides right into the net. And so him touching the ball shows that if he would have had a little more composure and maybe a step to the right, just one step to the right already, before that shot, because before that shot is even taken, I think as the shot is taken, his feet are flat. So I don't know if any any world-class keeper could have gotten that. I mean, depending on how quick they are or whatever, everybody's different, but it is what it is. I mean, he's going to get a bunch of hate, and some other players are in that game. At the end of the day, it's a draw. It's disappointing again because we didn't take advantage of other teams slipping up, dropping points. But that'll come up again. We got a pretty favorable stretch of games, should be anyway. Hopefully we can take care of our business then. But the first one we got to do is Stoke. Just losing to Crystal Palace over the weekend. They'll be wanting to jump back and get points and get back on a positive swing. So we got to add to their misery. It's away, I believe. I don't think it's home. I think it's away. So we got to do that. There'll be more build-up throughout the week if there's anything to talk about. Maybe even some transfer rumors. It's getting close to January, although I don't really like rumors because none of them really seem to be true until they happen. So, but there's some interesting ones that could possibly come through. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll see you guys sometime between now and Wednesday. Till then.